Привіт! I'm Chuck Olenek, a Ukrainian-American baptized with the name Yaroslav, and in the Society for Creative Anachronism, or the reenactment group I belong to, I'm known as Yaroslav the Persistent. My friends call me Yari. So I have been researching Slavic folklore and mythology for decades, and I've been putting together stuff on Slavic and Eastern European history, and I decided I would just put all this research up on my YouTube channel in order to make the information more available, because as a retired history teacher, I believe that knowledge should be free. So I covered in the last couple of videos on my channel the Slavic version of Halloween and how to make the ritual masks. Now we're getting to the Dziady. That's the most common version of the word used in various dialects. That's the one I'm going to stick with. And that was basically a Slavic festival for the Day of the Dead. I wish I'd managed to get to it a couple days ago on that day, but life happens. So this festival would occur about twice a year, spring and autumn, and the word literally means grandfathers or elders. There's another couple of meanings in there, spirits or demons. That's kind of telling, but it's often translated as forefathers or ancestors' eve. Early Slavs believed souls returned from the underworld of Nav during certain times of the year, and the end of October was one of those times. This celebration with the spirits of the afterlife took place in graveyards where great fires were built to provide light for the deceased and for them to warm themselves. Slavs would feast and eat plentifully and would drop food on the graves. In the pre-Christian era, there would be the giving of sacrificial blood, but there would also be gifts of clothing and food, such as kasha, which is a type of porridge, eggs, honey, vodka, which kind of makes it a little later in period, and that was meant to offer ease to the souls as they would make the difficult travel to Nav. Nav was considered a positive afterlife, just wasn't easy to get there. Alright, a lot of cultures celebrate the Day of the Dead at the end of October. It's the same with the Slavs. This holiday was known as Dziady, grandfathers, or Zadushnici, for the souls. And in Serbia, there were like 4 holidays of this type. Each one would happen on a Saturday. For Serbs, the autumnal holiday of the dead was named after St. Michael's Day, Miholedan. The older name for this holiday was Misholedan, or the Day of the Mice. It was believed that on this day, the ancestors and other departed would return to our world in the form of mice. According to custom, offerings were made to the mice, and numerous taboo actions were performed in conjunction with this. Okay, so the Serbian church, or Serbian Orthodox Church, wasn't really good with what people were doing, but because it was so overwhelmingly popular, they kind of had to roll with it. And so they stepped in and said, okay, the funeral feast should be consisting of wine and bogacha, ritual bread, and kolhivo. And the idea was be modest. Problem is, ritual bread and the bogacha and the kolhivo, they aren't Christian. Their origin's actually pre-Christian, and if you want to get precise, it's about the Slavic cult of the sun and the cult of the ancestors. Now in Poland, there's people leaving food at the grave sites. Beggars who were attending the cemeteries were richly rewarded, not only because it was a noble deed that they were attending the cemeteries, but also because many of the living believed that the beggars were actually the dead in disguise. So you might be messing with Grandpa. And prayers and messages were conveyed through the beggars in exchange for food. Another crucial part of the festival was showing the way for the souls back to Nov through dances around the fires. So those fires that we mentioned earlier that were getting lit. The Slavs didn't have pumpkins to carve, but they did create karaboshka masks. People would wear these masks made of wood or clay. I put together one in a previous video, and they put these masks on come night to imitate the dead. Then, with torches in hand, they would lead the dead to the underworld. On the way back home, people would leave out offerings for the wandering spirits who had no family, to give them gifts or to show them home. So the souls are coming back from Nov, and a lot of those are people who died natural deaths, and they lived natural lives, and so good folks, and their descendants are lighting candles upon their graves to kind of help them help guide the way. Not everybody was welcome back. Not all the deceased were good people. There were those who died a violent death, and they were often condemned to return as evil spirits of some kind. Okay, and then you got people like murderers. And these spirits wanted to linger amongst the living as demons and striking on many nights, but one of the nights they preferred to strike on was during Dziady. Okay, we're going to get into supernatural and Winchester Brothers stuff. To prevent the attacks, people dropped green branches on the graves of those murderers that they passed. Then fires were set upon those graves, and also at crossroads that were considered like really powerful in Slavic culture to keep away the demons. There's a similar holiday amongst the Baltic people. Velinis is a Lithuanian holiday that was to commemorate the dead. And when they became Christian, basically Catholic, that kind of became All Souls Day. Traditionally, it began after the completion of the fall harvest and used to be celebrated for 4 weeks in October, culminating on the first weekend in November, which just passed. All right. Under Christian influence, it kind of said, let's narrow this down, and it got reduced to one day, November 2nd. There's also something regarding Velinis where there's a connection to the wild hunt, and that shows up in a bunch of cultures besides Slavic and Baltic. That's going to be another video. I hope you stick around for that. So until the next time, do pobачення.